Over at about 2, he'd be fine. But he's passionate. He's passionate about winning. He's passionate about being out there on the water. That's what drives Terry Butcher. This guy over here you guys just watched, he may be one of the quietest guys on tour, but he's driven by a passion to be successful in this sport. That's what makes our lives. That's why we pay the bills. So when you get to that level where I got to when I break that crankbait off, because I found myself, I've got this crankbait broke off, I've got a spinnerbait with no trailer hook on it, I've got a camera guy that's scared to get out of the floor of the boat, I'm still stuck on a stump and I'm ready to swing at somebody. So I have to regroup, and that's where I'm bringing you guys to right now as a group of fishermen. What do you do at that time? Do you quit? Do you say, I've had enough for today, I'm gonna fold all this stuff up, I'm gonna slide this quantum rod up that rod box, I'm gonna get me a cold pop, I'm just gonna rope on back to the dock when I get off this stump, I'm gonna call it a day? Or do you dig a little deeper and you figure out what I need to do to gain control of this situation mentally right now? Because that's where I'm at. You guys see me wear this rubber band on my wrist. There's a reason I wear a rubber band everywhere I go. A couple of years ago, I lost my brother. I started getting mentally challenged on the water because I couldn't understand why this happened to me. Why I had to deal with such loss. So it started affecting how I fished mentally. And I couldn't seem to gain control of my emotions versus passion versus, intensity. So I hired a mind coach. And I know what y'all thinking. You probably had to pay him a bunch of money. You're right. He told me one price, but once he talked to me, he said, we got a lot of work to do, you Swindle. I said, I told you. I got it out there. But he's actually a sports doctor. He deals with golfers. He deals with bass fishing. He said, I've never done this sport. I'm going to get into it. He actually started dealing with me. He worked with me for 2 years. The very next year, a good friend of mine hired him. I wish that he would. His name was Skeet Reese. And he won a classic. So if you think bass fishing is not mental, just watch him hire my coach since I got done with him. This sport and this rod and reel and catching these crazy fish behind me is 99% what's in your mind. It's not as much sometimes as the best color rate. It's not so much, we've all got great rod and reels. I'm sponsored by Quantum. I think they're some of the best in the country. Terry's sponsored by another rod company. You guys, we all have equal equipment. We all basically have the same hand-eye coordination, do we not? Some guys may be able to cast a little better than others, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the tournament. But when you get to the certain level of fishing, things that really stand out in my mind is what people have up here. And I've had my mind coach studied it. He said, you know the reason why Kevin Van Dam seems to make all the right decisions? I said, I don't know, but I'd like to know because I'm tired of getting beat by him, I can tell you that. He said because he believes that everything he does is right. I said, what does that mean? He said that means 99% of the time his decisions are probably incorrect, but he fishes them like he don't know nothing else. In other words, in his mind, you can't tell him that. So I said, what does that mean in relation? He says, he doesn't, because we've asked Terry and I, sit around talking, and somebody will say, how come it seems like he always finds the biggest school of fish on the lake? You ever watch that? I'm like, how do you find just the fish? He didn't find the biggest school. He's catching everyone that's there because he believes he can. Every decision is not right. He's fishing a spot on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best, that most of the time are 4s. But he's fishing them like a 10 because he believes if a bass is there, I'm going to catch it. Well, naturally on TV, it looks like he's just catching every fish in the lake. By the time they get through editing, that's kind of what it looks like. So as I started doing this mind coach, I started learning what negative train of thought has in bass fishing. Has anybody here fished tournaments? Right off the bat, you fish it with your team partner, you make a cast, you hook a fish in the morning, that old big one's on there, you screaming, get the net, good God, he's pulling, sends you drag, come straight in the hook. We got this one, it's in the book, he jumps, he comes off. We've all done that? Then what's the next thing we do? Throw the rod down. That's it. We lost. Anybody here right to show your hand? You ever done that? Well, you pretty much have. You load it up and go home. Because in your mind, you just set the outcome for your day. The human mind, for every positive thought and every negative thought, just to give you a little statistics from a mind coach, for every negative human mind develops. It takes 20 positive thoughts to override it. So if you just told yourself, there goes the tournament, we lost right there, you did. So I'm watching this, and he brings me a videotape. He said, I want you to watch something. He said, well, he shows me having a meltdown at Table Rock and get me one of them old big spots up in a tree, breaks my line, and there I am, I'm ready to punch somebody. He said, there's you. Now watch this. And it's Van Dam fishing Lake Wheeler, the Great Tennessee River, against Jeremy Starks. 1 and 2, going up who's going to win. Van Dam's throwing what he always throws. It seems like Texas said, Series 5, 7, 7, 2, 4, 9 crankbait. That's what he always throws. Winding at 782 knots a minute. And he gets one on about 5 pounds, and only in Kevin's voice, he goes, there's one, big one, big one. It jumps and comes off. The camera's behind him, Kevin reels the bait in, throws it back out. He reels the bait in, and he goes, oh, got another one. It's a giant, too. Hold on, it's a giant. He gets it up there, and a 5-pounder jumps and comes off. Kevin turns and looks at the camera and grins, kind of silly. He goes, that don't happen much, does it? It never rattled his cage. It never meant nothing to me. So my coach stopped the video right there. He said the difference in what he's thinking and what the other 99 guys on tour is thinking is he's the guy that's saying, if I got 2 of them to bite, I can get 22 more to bite. You're saying I got the only 2 in the lake to bite, it's over. You're looking at the picture different than he's looking at the picture. You say, I can't recover from that deficit. And he's saying, I'm 1 step closer to kicking your butt. Because I just figured out what they're biting. We're all guilty of that. We're all guilty of leaning on one decision or one bad thing that happened in the morning that dictates our day. I'm guilty of it. I can only speak from my experience. So when I talk to you about this, it's something I deal with every day. The rubber band stays on my wrist most all the time. It's a simple reminder that every time I have a negative thought, whether it's good or bad, and I'm not necessarily meaning bass fishing, I'm talking about in life, in everything that I do, I simply take this rubber band and I pop it on my wrist. This is a negative thought. What this does is it sends pain in my wrist, which reminds my brain that that's negative. If you would do this for 3 weeks, every time you think of something negative, your mind will automatically erase it. I promise you, because your mind only relates to pain then. When you think, I can't believe that old lady just got my parking place, let's get out and slap her around a little bit. We start popping that rubber band a little bit. Well, then about 3 weeks at Walmart, when she pulls it in front of you, you say, you know what, that old lady probably got a limp. Let's just let her have that parking place. It's all in how you see the picture. You ain't doing nothing different in your life than how you view the picture. And there's tournaments when this needs to be a bungee cord. Because, son, I am wearing it out. I mean, I'm at blast off one. I can't stand that guy right there. If he's going where I'm going, we got troubles. So you constantly, this is not something that you correct overnight. You don't develop positive mental attitude in the morning. You guys ever been that way? You think, well, it's been a rough weekend, but we're getting that boat tomorrow morning, boys. I'm getting in the zone. I'm fixing to share a little something. Hey, you're not. You're pretty much done. Because we look as fishermen for years, I look for the magical zone. You've heard guys talk about it. I'm in the zone, baby. I'm in the zone. There's no such thing as the zone. You don't go get in the zone. You create the zone. My mind goes through a circle. Big circle on a piece of paper and a stick man right in the middle of it. He said, you know what that is? I said, I don't know what the circle is, but the stick man looks a lot like myself. I can tell you that, kind of skinny and knock-kneed. He said, the circle is the zone, and you're the person living in it. I said, you're right, Coach. We're getting somewhere now. That's where I want to be. I want to be in that zone. He said, and you create that zone and you live in it. It's not bass fishing. It's not window cleaning. It's your life. If you live a positive life, and you try to do every day, you try to make a conscious effort to create a positive zone, everywhere you go, you're going to be surprised how good things go. And then it started clicking. I've known Van Dam for 20 years. I've never, ever heard him say something negative about anybody. Not saying that he don't think it. You never hear him saying, fishing's horrible here, we're not going to catch jack. We should go home. Never. He's very conscious of never letting his mind get out of control. Therefore, he's created a positive zone. That's why sometimes when we go to lakes, it doesn't make any sense. He just roars through the pack catching them because he's convinced himself that it's a great day on the lake. I've had days when I knew I wasn't going to get a bite. Y'all ever had them days? I ain't retired. I ain't caught one in 3 days. Ain't no need to it. That line should hold it. I actually done that at the Classic. I could barely call 5 the first day. My wife said, "You going to go do your tackle?" I said, "For what?" They surely ain't heard it without 8 pounds. It ain't like I stressed my hooks out all night. But in the Bassmasters Classic, I sit there on day 1, ESPN camera, a tournament that we look forward to all year. All our dreams come true. 12:30, excuse me. Not a fish in a boat. I lost my $16 crankbait. I've scared my cameraman to where he won't even speak. He's acting like a little girl. Luckily, I don't have anybody watching me in this because they don't watch you. When you're not catching them, you're guaranteed not to have to worry about having to go find a place to go to the bathroom because nobody's around then. It's just you and him. And I sit down, I got my cold pop out of the cooler, and I start drinking me a drink, and I eat me a sandwich. I thought, gain control of your emotions. It's just a tournament. I know you're stressed out. I know you wanted to win. That's what we all go there for. But it's now time to figure out what are you going to do. Are you going to roll over and quit, or are you going to fish? So I sat probably 10 minutes in the bottom of that Triton boat and just thought about it. That's right, just sit there. Just look around. Of course, when they're not biting, I ain't in no hurry. It ain't like they were schooling where I was at. You know, so I'm going to take a minute and put it all back where I need to be. I simply pick up another rod. I take a couple of deep breaths. Wear the rubber band out. By this time, I got blood coming out of this arm, you know. Big drain coming out of here. And I start pitching down the bank real slow. And I said, just do what you do best. Just fish. Within about 10 minutes, I catch a 4-pounder. I said, well, I'm on the board. And now I've got about 40 minutes left to fish before I have to run up and lock back, and I've got me 1 bass. I change over to another bait. I catch the additional 2 bass. I'm trying to troll out a log jam to get out of this hole. I catch my 4th bass. I run 40 miles, lock up, run 15 more miles, race to a backwater area, shut down. I said, I got 3 minutes. I need to catch a fish. I caught my 5th bass. Now, I didn't win the Classic, but that particular day of bass fishing, I won the mental battle in my mind of what was going on around me. Now, every day of fishing judges who wins or loses by what's on the scales or who's got one of them in the bag. You fight your own battle every day of where you want to be in fishing and what you can catch. Not every day you have an opportunity to win. We've got enough tournament fishermen in this room to say you don't have a chance to win every day. This is the losingest sport in the world. Think about it. The best fisherman in the world is probably KVD. I call him venereal disease, KVD. Y'all can tell him I said that. He came on and shake him. I'm telling you, been trying to get rid of him for 20 years. He's still around. I'm just saying the truth. I know that come out a little fast. But he only wins about 6 to 8% of the time. If Peyton Manning threw 6 to 8%, where do you think he'd be at? He'd be up there calling the game with a suit on, wouldn't he? Going back when I used to play, every major league sport is played because the percentages are high of winning. A Major League Baseball player bats 300, 330, and he's considered one of the best hitters in the world. If you take the best bass fisherman in the world, he actually wins 6 to 8% of the time. It's a very low sport of winning. So you have to decide where am I going to be in winning? Because you're not going to dominate every tournament because you're fighting Mother Nature. There's so many variables that's out of your control, you never have the opportunity to win. When it's your time to win, you win. I promise you. I talked to Chris Lane the day after he won the Classic. He calls me at my home. He lives about 40 minutes from me. And when I answered the phone, he texted me. He said, can I call you? I was like, anytime, call. I answered the phone. Chris calls. He's crying. I said, what's up, Bubba? He said, it was my time to win. I said, what? He said, you don't understand. He said, I had 1 bass, and I had about 30 minutes left before I had to lock back up. He said, I hit a stump running down before we locked down and running 50 miles an hour. He said, it knocked both my hands off the wheel and it knocked his chest into the steering wheel. He said, almost knocked the breath out of me. He said, thought I tore my motor, slam off the boat. He runs in the lock, runs 40 miles to the back of Sullivan's, fishes, he's got him 1 bass. And he said, I'm sitting there in my mind thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What's the next decision? And he said, two guys that was fishing in there with him blew out. They're headed back to the lock. He said, I figure I got 15 minutes to fish and it's over and I've got to run back. He said, I told myself I'm going to make one more trip down that same bank that I've been fishing all day. He says, I pull over to the bank within 3 casts. He said, I catch a 6-pounder. I catch a 3-pounder. I catch a 2-pounder. He said, then Mark Zona calls him on the cell phone, holds it up to the camera going, you got time to talk? He goes, nope, just got my 5th bite. Let me catch this one. Catches his 5th, runs in the wind. He said, it was my time to win. I said, absolutely. When it's your time, you can't lose. I promise y'all. I've been doing this a long time. I've won one BASS event. I've won one FLW event. I've got a trophy room slam full of seconds and thirds. I got them from one end to the other. It's hard to win most of the time because variables come into play. Last year at Toledo Bend, I actually won the tournament by 7 ounces. One of my fish died. They penalized me 8 ounces, so I lose 1 ounce. That's right. That's an $80,000 dead fish. You think CPR wasn't thought about? I was ready to chicken fight him, son. You got to get up, fish. Give me some love right here. This cost me $80,000 because one fish died. Did I catch the most weight? Absolutely. Did you get the winning prize? No. So winning sometimes is not always as easy as it seems. The tournament I won at Toho last year, I had one spot. I had 2 bites all day of practice. My wife called me when I dropped out of the hotel. She said, how was practice? I said, I had 2 bites. She said, oh God, one of them tournaments ain't. And I said to her real calm, I said, no, I pretty much think I found them. She never asked me another question about it. We went on to talk business and all that. I go there on the first one of the tournament. I knew that they were there. I didn't know how many was there, but I knew that was the magic spot. Within 50 minutes, I got almost 32 pounds. I'm talking about jacking it. And that's after I lost a couple of the more big ones when I got all wound up. You catch a couple of them 7s in a row and get another one on, I just started reeling like a pencil sharpener. I'm like, oh, that's a big one. He comes off, I'm like, oh, there's plenty of them out there. Don't worry about that one. You know, so even me screwing it up, I had almost 32 pounds. I returned there the next day to caught 26. The next day to catch another 25. I returned there on the 3rd day, and in the opens we have co-anglers. Guys fishing on the back of the boat. I had a young guy from Florida. He gets in the boat with that morning. He said, man, it would mean the world to me to win this tournament. I said, well, it would be more than a birthday present to me. I can tell you that too. If we want to measure what it's going to mean to each other, OGs lead the pack. Because I said, I'm the only angler in BASS history to ever win $1 million without winning an event. That's a lot of $10,000 checks. That's a lot of second place and third place finishes without winning. So I'm thinking I have deserved my dance. I'm ready to win. We get out there that morning and I'm on it. Now when I tell you I caught all the fish on the same exact cast. I pull in there. I tell him I'm throwing a lipless crankbait. He ties one on. I look at it. I'm thinking it's the wrong color. I ain't got to worry about him for a while, you know. I stand up. He throws just out. Just aimlessly wails it out in the open water. And I hear that reel going, Arr! He said, I think I got one. Well, it's a 9-pounder. It jumps right there and I net it up. Whoosh! I sit at the floor of the boat, and of course it takes up the whole bottom of that triangle. And I'm like, whew, that's a big one. Dude, he gets that thing unhooked. He puts it in the live well. He gets back up, and this whole time I'm throwing at my buoy because I'm knowing I said, well, I know what to add. I'm a pro. You just get out of the way. He makes him another cast out the other side of the boat. Now, the first one was on this side. Woo! He's looking around, and I hear reeling, and I hear that reel go, he goes, I think I got another one. I just get back there and scoop me up another 9, 12. That's right. First 2 bites, he's got pushing 19 pounds. I'm dancing with a hula hoop. I ain't even had a fight yet. I got donuts around my waist.